Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial. It's been a while, but during that time, during quarantine, I've been using my time, my free time into practice, and I have learned a lot. And I cannot wait to share with you everything that I have learned, especially the lighting system that everyone keeps on asking me. What lights are you using? Is it HDRI? Is it Corona Sky? So in this tutorial, we're gonna find out how do I light my scenes, how do I create scenes with such realistic lighting, soft shadows, and all of that. Before starting this video, please make sure you follow me on Behance so you can see my projects in full resolution, and on Instagram so you can follow up with everything I do, and if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them and help. So without further ado, let's start. So in this video, we're going to be working on a bathroom, a luxury bathroom, and we're going to be focusing mostly on lighting and materials. So here we have our 3D Max open. We're gonna go to customize, unit setup, and make sure we have both display and system unit set to centimeters. You can use meters, millimeters, whatever you feel like. So we're gonna start with a simple plane. I'm just gonna use this as a reference. So it's gonna be the width of 290, let's say, and length of 600, maybe 300 here. Alright, and now I'm gonna go to line and into my snap and make sure now I have only grid points selected. And as I said, this is going to be only for reference. So we're gonna start with this. Alright, here we go. Okay, and now let's fix our mistakes here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Shift G to hide the geometry. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need it to here. And give this some depth, maybe something like that. Let's get this to here. Now we're gonna select this line, scroll down to outline, and create the thickness of our walls. So it's gonna be something like that. Alright, Shift G, and let's delete this. Alright, select back the line, and we're gonna extrude it to the height of our bathroom, something like 285. Alright, press F4 to see the edges. Let me select a different color here so we can see better, maybe gray. Alright, and now we're gonna create our window openings. I have this selection of assets that I will be leaving every single link in the description down below so you can download and use them. Everything is free except for the Panda white marble. It comes from cgmood.com with a cost of a subscription, which is only €6 a month, and you can get a lot of things like discounts, exclusive credits, so you can buy things for free. And you can see here we also have a lot of free models. There's like, I don't know, 45 pages with a lot of free high quality models that you can download for Corona, V-Ray, Unreal Engine, and all of that. So going back here, I'm going to take my windows and drag it. Here we go. it's a little bit small, so I'm gonna scale it a little bit like that. I'm gonna drag it into here. For now, right click on snap and make sure we have vertex on. Okay, so let's see where those windows goes. So seems like the perfect height. Okay, make sure it's flipped the right direction so I can see the handle here. Alright, maybe a little bigger. Alright, now the position of them, it's gonna be like that, and here we go as instance, and we're gonna select our windows here. And bring them to here. Okay, now to my left view, I'm gonna select my walls and hit the edit poly button. You can also select the slice if you love working with the slice. So here we go. Let's try the slice this time. Slice, E for rotate. And we have to make sure that angle snap tool is on so we can rotate it into 5 degrees up to 90. Okay, now it's time for snap, and in order to snap it to the vertices, you have to make sure that in snap we have to go to option and enable axis constraints so you can snap perfectly into the vertices. Okay, so let's start slicing. We're gonna go back to slice, press shift and hold the left button to copy it, splice plane again, and we are going to slice those windows. So here I'm creating the openings for my windows. Another shift and left click so I can copy it. Here we go, another shift, and here we go. Now I need to make sure that the height from the floor is 80, so let me set the height to 80. Let's go to left. Alright, and I think I need to take those high up to 80. So here we go. Let's align perfectly now to 80 and to the final 2 slices. So here we go, that's a slice, and now we have to rotate it. Okay, that's 1, shift to copy, and that's 2. Alright, I'm gonna remove my reference here to this part now, and I'm gonna add an edit poly onto this one. Select the first side and the second side and hit the bridge so I can create the openings. Alright, now I'm gonna go to front view, press G on my keyboard so I can disable the grid, you can see, and I'm gonna select a rectangle, snap on, and I'm gonna select midpoint. So here's the middle and here's the middle. Those are going to be 2 big marble slabs. So we're gonna shell this one to an amount of 1.5 and also the other one. Alright, now I'm gonna add an edit poly and select the vertices, and I need to take them to around -0.2 So to do that precisely, I press this button here, and you can see it's on the X. I have to bring the X backwards, so it's going to be minus 0.2. You can see it moved a little bit. And for this one here, let me grab the edit poly, assign it. I'm gonna move this one here to 0.2. So again, the X 0.2, you can see that it moved a little bit. And now to the last part, I'm going to be adding a chamfer modifier to give my walls and everything some realism. So this is going to be something like 0.2, and we're gonna add some segments, maybe less than 0.1. We're gonna make sure it's from unsmooth edges, and we're gonna only smooth the chamfers. And we're gonna copy this to the other slab and move them backwards to the wall. Here we go. Okay. Now for the other part, I'm gonna select a rectangle, make sure auto grid is on so I can draw on the wall, and I'm gonna be drawing the rectangle here, and also shell this one to again 1.5. We're gonna make sure it's the same height as the windows, and then edit poly it to bring it up a little bit. So it's gonna be something like that. Okay. Now I have to delete this one here, and I'm gonna select the box, disable snap, and create this. Make sure it's in like between those two here. Okay, so it's gonna be something like that. Okay, it's going to be the height of the thickness of 10. Okay, and this is going to be 45, and actually bring this down to 200. Alright, now I'm gonna add a camera to see where everything is going. So I'm gonna grab Corona camera, disable auto grid, and from the middle I'm gonna take it to something like this and set it. You can see now that I'm only seeing the wall because my camera is outside. The reason why I do that is, let me show you. If I take my camera inside, I'm going to be having like a small space to work in. It's not going to be enough to show the client what is happening inside my space. So I need more breathing room to show the client everything inside the space, especially if it's a tight space like a bathroom, a small kitchenette, and all of that. So I'm gonna take back my camera outside and head to my modifier, and I'm gonna select environment and clipping and enable it. Now I'm gonna set this to something like 250, and you can see that I have cut through my walls. You can see here, this is how I'm cutting, and now the camera, it's like cutting from here, and this is my space. So here we go. Now we have a better look of our space. Okay, let's go back to here, and let's bring this back to somewhere like that, to the middle of this window here. Okay, And now let's select and edit poly, select all the 4 edges here, connect them something like 4, bring it up a little bit, and then bring those down to, you can see it's on the Y. Make sure this is selected. Let's go to 20, let's say, and this is going to be -20. Perfect. Now the other edges. So now I'm gonna select the edges here and connect them. Here we go. Okay, and we're gonna select those polygons here and extrude them to a value of -9.5. Okay, and now I can grab the chamfer modifier that I've set here to the back of my wall and do this here. And I want to bring this down here to something like that. Make sure it's a copy, not an instance, so I can delete the modifiers without affecting the upper one. So I'm gonna delete the edit poly, and this is going to be the height of something like 2. Alright, so this is going to be a shelf where I put the towels and all of that. Now I'm gonna copy this for reference only, and I'm going to be creating a mirror. So auto grid again, create this, a simple rectangle, go to my left view, and I'm gonna hide those for the moment. Okay, let's select edit spline so I can edit the rectangle, snap tool on, and align it to those lines here. And to the final part, I'm gonna select all the vertices, scroll down to fillet in order to make rounded edges. You can see now we have some rounded edges. And the last tip is going to be for this mirror is, so you can see if I shell it now, I do not have a smooth corner. So in order to have smooth corners, we're gonna head to a rectangle, into interpolation, and make sure the steps are set to be adaptive. So now you can see I have more lines to create a smoother edge. Alright, and we're gonna shell this to 3 centimeters. We're gonna add an edit poly, select the polygon, and we're gonna inset it to something like 2.5, let's say. Okay, extrude it to 2.7, -2.7. Alright, hit OK, and now we're gonna hold shift, hold the left button to copy this and clone it, and this is going to act as the mirror. You can see that this is pretty far, so we're gonna fix it by adjusting the pivot to the center. So affect pivot only, center to object, and then disable this one and take this back down there, so something like that. Alright, so this is our mirror. It's done. Now let me start with the floor, isolate it. You can also press Alt Q, so if I unhide, select, it's Alt Q to isolate it. Alright, it's pretty easy. A simple line, snap on, make sure vertex is on. You don't need midpoint. disable auto grid, and let's snap the vertices on the wall. So here we go. Make sure it's snapping correctly and hit OK. And now we can shelve this. Make sure we have the minimal amount to the outer amount, and the inner amount is going to be something like 20. Alright, isolate this again, and we're gonna draw another line on top of that. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to be using floor generator for my floor. So in that case, I do not want light leaks to happen. I do not want lights to leak between the grouts of the wall, the grouts of the floor. So this box right here is going to add as a shield, so no lights will be leaking through my floor generator. So into the modifier here, we're gonna select floor generator and assign it. If you do not have floor generator, you can download it from CG source. It's free. You get the standard running bond for free, so you have to create an account and download it. And if you need all the patterns, you have to buy it. Okay, I'm gonna link it in the description for you to download it. So for the floor, it's going to be 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters. We might change this later, but for now it's going to be like that. The grout, it's going to be something like 0.1. And make sure we do not have any offset, because I need a squarish floor. The extrude, it's going to be something like 0.5, and the bevel something like 0.2. Alright. Now, moving on, I'm gonna add the bathtub just so I can see that everything is going well. And again, everything is going to be in the description for you to download and follow along the tutorial. Here we go. I'm gonna be using the white one. Let me mirror this one to the Y. I do not want to see this, and take it to my floor, and let's align it correctly. And here we go. Give it a little bigger scale and align it again. Alright, here we go. Let's try the floor to something like 120. Make them bigger. Seems good. All right. Moving on, I'm gonna start creating the ceiling. It's pretty easy. I'm gonna copy this one as a copy. Make sure it's a copy, so it doesn't take the material of the floor. And look how annoying it is. We have the black surfaces here showing, and we need to get rid of this. So we go into views, view per view settings, and make sure default lights are set to 2, and now we can see the colors back again. So now I'm gonna isolate this one here, and also gonna create a line on top of it. Make sure snap is on, and this is going to be the molding. Here we go, and I'm gonna scale down this to something like that. Front view, snap on, and take it down. You can see now I have this here. Now we're gonna select sweep a profile, and also if you do not have sweep profile installed, you can go to this link here, also linked down in the description. download sweep profile for free, or you can purchase the pro version. Alright, and in support here you have a small video that shows you how to install it without any problems. It's pretty easy, it takes about a minute or so. So let's choose a molding. We can see now it's flipped, so to sweep, and let's mirror it to the right direction and select a nice molding for us to use. Let me check this out. Seems pretty good, I suppose. Alright, but it needs to be smaller a bit. Seems to be bugged, I think. Alright, let me isolate it then. Alright, I couldn't press it for some reason. Okay. Let's find a good one. I think 7 is the perfect fit, honestly. And this is what I'm looking for. Alright, I might take those walls actually, and make them smaller. I think they're a bit bigger, so pretty easy. I'm gonna take those into the X, and let's go to something like 25, and same goes here. It's going to be minus 25. Alright, no need to worry about the other things. Here's an edit poly, and we're gonna take this to here, this to here also, and same goes. No need to be precise, unless you're a freak, you can align them. Here we go, it looks exactly the same. It's called the power of the eye. Now delete this, and we're gonna create our indirect lighting. So here's my walls. I'm gonna isolate this, and here's my molding. It's pretty easy. I'm gonna copy this as a copy, remove the edit poly and the sweep, and now I have a line. I'm gonna make sure the line fits between the molding and the wall, and here we go. And also I'm gonna add, actually it's added, I'm just gonna fix it. I was about to say add edit poly. Alright, and now go to my line, rendering, enable a renderer, a label and viewport. I'm gonna make sure it's rectangular, and here we have our indirect. I'm gonna give it a length of 1, actually 0.1, and here we go. We have now our indirect lighting, which later on I'm going to assign Corona light material on them. Alright, now I'm gonna be slicing those because I do not need light from the window part, so I'm gonna take the slice here, rotate it, F4 to C, and I'm gonna take the slice up to here, edit poly, and I'm gonna delete this part right here. I do not want it. Here we go. unhide. And now we only have a few steps left, and we're gonna move into our lighting. So we're gonna move this here, select the walls, rectangle, auto grid, snap on, disable, enable both of them, and let me copy this as instance and as instance. Alright, and let's hit the sweep profile and find a good profile for those. Also flip them to the correct way. I believe 0.08 is the best option. And now unhide so I can see the windows, and they're aligned perfectly. Now I'm gonna be adding the finishes, so I still have a few wall plaster to add. So wall plaster, here we go, merge to the file, rotate and select the one that I want. Let's open. I think I'm gonna go with those and detach them from the group, and I'm gonna delete all of this because I do not need it. I'm gonna group this one and move them next to my windows right here. Select what I need and isolate and go to the left view. So here I have this. I'm gonna add an edit poly to both of them. Snap tool on into the last vertex and align it to my wall. Here we go. And take this down to something like that. And now I can copy this as an instance also to here and to there. Here we go. Here's 1, 2, 3, and bring them to my wall. Here we go. And I'm gonna take another one, make sure it's a copy this time, rotate it like that to 90 degrees and also 90 degrees, and bring it to my wall right here. Here we go. T, make sure it's aligned. Okay. Edit poly, bring those up, bring those down. All right. Copy it to my other wall as an instance this time, and also copy it again as instance, rotate 90 degrees and align it to here. And final step, instance, mirror to X, copy, and move. Here we go. Let's check everything, and everything seems to be fine. Alright, this needs to be a little bit closer. Why am I selecting everything? Okay, here we go. This needs to be something like that, and make sure the indirect also is set correctly. So here we go. Okay, and now I'm gonna hit the save button, so desktop, and I'm call it YouTube video, and hit the save. Alright, I'm gonna just select those here and make sure they're perfectly aligned. Here's one, and here's two. All right. And now we can proceed into our lighting, the moment that everyone is waiting for. So I'm gonna go to settings, and I'm gonna select Corona as my renderer. I'm gonna go to scene, select material override, and select a simple Corona material. This will turn our scene into white clay, so I can see how my light is bouncing inside my scene. So we're gonna go to scene environment, hit single map, and in here we're gonna select Corona sky. And hit the start interactive. You can press it from here, or you can press the button up there. You can see everything is still in black. It's because we have our windows and we didn't preserve the glass. So here's our glass, and now we can see the light inside our scene. The question is, how do you get this white clean lighting that I use mostly in my scenes? So it's pretty simple. We're gonna go to our slate material editor, go to Corona sky, and drag it here as an instance. We're gonna select it, double click, and select Rawa Fake as our sky model. You can see now here we have the parameters of it and two different colors. So the first color is going to be white. Let's try something like 225. This is what I use. Alright, as a white value, and I'm gonna copy it down there as a copy. You can see now it's still a little bit dim, and that's okay. I'm gonna set the exposure to something like 2. Let's give this a highlight compress. Set the exposure to something like 3. And as you can see, both of the colors are set to white. Now I'm gonna go to my Corona light here and select Corona sun, and drag and drop into my scene. Make sure it's high up, take it back, and make sure it's going inside my windows. So here we go, and take it high up, just the sun. Alright, now you can see it's very bright and it turned to be yellow, and I do not want that. I just need the white lighting. So simple trick, go back to my Corona Sun, select the color mode to be direct input, and you can see now it turned to be white. It's white now, but I do not want those very sharp edges, very sharp shadows. I'm gonna increase the size to something like 25, 45, whatever, 35. Just make the light bounce bigger and not sharp. And I'm gonna decrease the intensity to something like 0.2, 0.05. You have to experiment and find the perfect lighting for the scene that you are looking for. So here we go. Now I can decrease the exposure to something like 2.3, let's say 2.2, and proceed with my lighting. So far it looks perfect. We're gonna tune it while we proceed in the video. So now we're gonna go into slate material again, and we're gonna select Corona light material, and this is going to be for our indirect. So let's hide my molding, select the line up there, cannot see it properly, so here we go, unhide all, go back to my camera, and I'm gonna hit the interactive mode for a bit. Here we go. And since it's geometry and I have material override on, I'm gonna make sure I exclude it so I can see the light. And also I have to preserve Corona light material, so let's preserve light material from here. Alright, and I'm gonna assign the light material to my line. You can see there's a small light here coming. That's because the intensity is pretty low. Let's go something like 20, and we're gonna set the directionality to something like -45. This will allow the light to bounce directly down. And make sure we have occlude other lights turned off so it cannot mess with the shadows and create black up in the wall. And finally, make sure we have some color for it. Let's give it something like 5000 as a Kelvin temp, and it turns to be perfect. Alright, so here we have the lighting so far in our scene, and now we're gonna proceed to make everything, the materials and all, and bring it into post-production. So I'm gonna hit the save button again, and make sure you save, always save so you do not lose your scene. Alright, we're gonna start with adding the objects now. So here we go. I'm gonna start with let's go with the side tables. So here's my side tables. I'm gonna drag and drop them into here, open, and we wait for the merge. Here we go. And also I'm gonna merge the curtains. Everything will be linked in the description so you can download and follow along. So here we have the curtains now. We're gonna merge them, and we're gonna select the smaller one, I'm gonna take this one here, I'm gonna rotate it to 90 degrees and put it between the molding here and make sure it's aligned to the floor. Here we go. All right. Let's add our light here, the chandelier. This is a very nice chandelier that I chose for this scene. Here we go. I'm gonna select the one above and make sure it's grouped. And let's take it down to the middle right here. Scale it a little bit down and take it up to the wall, to the ceiling. And here we go. Amazing. Now we're gonna take this and add it to our wash basin. I'm gonna isolate it, and it needs definitely some scaling. And hide. Let's take the wall here. And group those. Make sure it's in the middle. And copy here as an instance. And let's flip those. And here we go. And bring them down a little bit. Perfect. Unhide. And let's relink all the textures for now. So here we go. I have everything downloaded on my desktop, so if I go to desktop, it's on YT. I can select the folder here and relink all the missing textures. You can see that the missing files are gone because all the textures have been linked into my scene. So I'm gonna take those here and I'm gonna see which one fits the best, and I think the green will fit the mood that I'll be using. So yep, this is the green one, so I won't be needing those anymore. Let's take it to here, scale it a little bit and align it to my floor. Here we go. Alright, let's start the interactive a little bit to see what's happening. And so far everything seems to be great. Let's add some sharpening to our scene. I'm gonna go with an amount of 3, and this will go to something like 1. Never go something to a value that is very high, like sharpening to something like 7, 10, or I don't know. 3, 2, 1 is like the best spot, but if you're going to 3, make sure that the blur radius is still acceptable. If you're going to something like 2, let's say, make sure the blur is like 0.9. So always you have to balance your scene, so make sure it's always balanced. Alright, everything seems to be great so far. Alright, this is showing also. Okay, now we can proceed. So first we're gonna start with our walls, ceiling, and the moldings. So I'm gonna grab those, all of them. Here we go. Grab everything and let's isolate them. Okay, I'll get back to this. So I'm gonna attach all the moldings together, or we can actually let's group them together. So those are going to be the wall, okay, so here's the group, and I'm going to be using the Corona wall material. I used it in my last project and honestly it works the best. So here it is with a little bit of imperfection. So walls, I'm gonna go with this one here. Alright, and I'm gonna assign it to the wall also, and to the molding, and also the ones on the windows. So here we go. Now in order to UVW this one, some people will be like, I do not know how I UVW this. How do I know if the UVW is right, if the UVW is wrong, and all of that? So a simple trick. Usually when you merge materials into your scene, they will be having something like this, a map like that, black and white also. So you can select it and make sure it's here, shaded and materials and material and viewport, shaded material and viewport. And you can see now if I add a UVW to my wall, I can see the bitmap that I have selected. And you can see now the imperfection and all of that to make your UVW perfect. So I'm gonna copy this one to my group here, and this group is going to have a smaller one, so UVW something like 60, copy it, and here we're gonna have something like 120, Control C, Control V, Control V, so you can copy all the same value. Alright, and we're gonna add those to our excluded list, into our material override, and proceed with our scene. Here we go. Everything seems to be good except for this one here. We didn't set a UVW, so bring this up, and here we go. Let's unhide and make sure we select the ceiling and also assign the same material to it. Here we have it, UVW, and let's test our scene now to see how it's looking. Alright, so far everything seems great. now we have a whiter mood, but I need to tone down the exposure a little bit because it's a little bit high since we have the white walls now. Alright, now I'm gonna also isolate this, exclude it from the list. So here's the exclude. Alright, now it's way better. You can see it here. And it's looking amazing. Next, it's going to be our floor material. It's pretty easy. It's a simple black marble. So Corona material into here. Corona bitmap. I always go for Corona bitmap because it's easier to control and better for the render. It takes less time to render. So here we go. Here's our texture. And I'm gonna assign it to my diffuse color and to my bump. Alright. And I'm gonna tone down the reflection to something like 0.85 and the glossiness to something like 0.75. Okay, and make sure the bump is something like 0.1 because I do not need a huge bump. And I'm gonna assign this to my floor and just select a simple UVW as a box. Alright, and let's take this to create my floor. Here we go. Unhide. Let me isolate this one. Alright, and hit the interactive button. And now we have our floor. Let's see. Seems perfect. Alright, and now I can proceed. Maybe tone down the reflection a little bit. So back here, let's set the reflection to minus 0.6 and the glossiness to 0.65, and I think it's better now. Alright, I'm gonna exclude the bathtub. Here we go. Alright, but I need a brass color on mostly everything. So I'm gonna isolate the bathtub, go to my edit poly here, deselect, select everything and deselect the bathtub, detach those. Alright, and take back the mesh mode option here and drag it into our bars right here. Simple Corona materials, so it's gonna be metal, and we're gonna go to our brass, clean and assign it. No need to UVW this one because it's a simple brass material, and also I need to set it onto this one here. So let me open, select everything that needs to be brass. So here we go also. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave those black, or actually let's take them to the brass level. Okay, and also assign the brass material, select and close, and also remove it from the material override. unhide. Same goes here. Everything seems to be good. Let's test it again. And so far, they seem to be great. Since I detached the bathtub, I need to reassign a material. And also re-exclude it from the material override. And now I can proceed. So we're gonna add our marble material now, the Panda white marble. This one, it comes in 16K resolution, so it's a pretty high-end material. As I said, you can get it from CGMood only if you have a subscription of €6 a month. And trust me, you can benefit from a lot in this website. Most of the assets that I use comes from CGMood, so make sure you are subscribed and you can get a lot of things. So this one is merged. I'm gonna go to the material, pick it, delete those, and now assign it to where I need it. Let's UVW those here as a box, and UVW this one here, and flip it here into the alignment. If it didn't, it's easy, just rotate the map. Let's try to find, we can mirror it also. Let me try mirror this. I just need a butterfly effect. Here we go. Let's isolate this. I always say isolate, but it's exclude. So here we go. But it needs to be shinier. Now, when I have something connected to my reflection glossiness, it will be hard to control the reflection and glossiness from here. Like if I bring up this amount to 1, you can see that there is no change happening. That's because the light, the reflection and the glossiness are being controlled by the map set into my reflection glossiness node. So the only way to do it is to have an output map connected to your reflection glossiness, as you can see here. And we're gonna select the reflection glossiness, go to output, enable color map, right click here and select this, and we're gonna tone it up. Alright, now I'm gonna zoom in so you can notice the difference. Here we go. You can see the reflection here. So if I disable it, you can see that the reflection is gone. If I enable it, you can see that the reflection is back. So the higher the amount, the more reflection you have, and the more glossy it will become. Alright, I'm gonna keep it simple, so it's going to be something like that. Yes. And now it seems pretty good. I can go back to my camera and assign the Panda marble to where I need it. So here we go. I'm gonna exclude those. All right. We're gonna UVW this one here. And this one here also. Okay, I'm gonna stop this for now. I'm gonna isolate them and let me UVW those properly. So this seems good. I just need to take this higher up. Alright, I copy this down here. Seems good like this. And let's see what we can do in this one. Why? Okay. That's the best bet like this. Seems great. But I do not need the glossy one here, so I'm gonna copy this. So hold shift and left, right button, no, left button. Alright, delete this. I do not need it, and I deleted the output map, so now it's back to normal. Okay. Here we go. Now, brass material for those. Let me take this one here. So those are going to be brass, and this one too. So here we go. And this is going to be a mirror material, so it's very easy to do. Corona material, diffuse, reflection 1, and the IOR set to 999. Let's assign it. Hide all, and let's see what we have now. Here we go. Exclude, and hit the interactive button. And so far, it is looking great. All right. Let me exclude also the chair right here, the table, and assign the correct color for it. So it seems to be a multi-subject object, but I can select those here, detach them, assign the brass that I need, and re-exclude them. Here we go. For the curtain, also, it's going to be fabric curtain, so assign it and exclude it. It's looking great, honestly. I just need to fix the ceiling a little bit. It has a lot of patches and I do not want that, so I'm gonna copy this one here and I will remove the imperfection. I'll just keep it a simple white Corona material. Alright. the indirect, I can tone it down a little bit. Let's try a value of 10 maybe. Seems better. Alright, so far it's looking good. Let's exclude the windows right here. Perfect. Alright, let's add some contrast to our scene. So 3 seems to be good. The filmic shadows, let's tone them up to 0.3 seems to be great. We're gonna add a lookup table. So we're gonna add this one here to a value of something like 0.1. And in the curves, I'm gonna be focusing on the dark tones. I need them to be darker. The mid tones also to be darker. And the high tones to be brighter. Let's give our scene some bloom. So I'm gonna add this to an amount of 0.2 and get rid of the glare, so it's gonna be very low. Alright, now if you see that your scene is a little bit green or yellow or red, we can always balance it with the white balance. So if it's a bit cold, you can take the amount up to 7,000, let's say, and make it warmer. If it's very warm, you can tone it down. So far it looks great. So the green and magenta tint will help you get rid of the greenish or reddish tone. So in this case, I feel like the scene is a little bit green, so I'm gonna tone down this amount to something like this just to get rid of the green. So a very small amount will help. Back to our sharpening, make sure everything is correct. Let's go to 3 here and 1.2. Alright, seems to be great. Now we can start adding the final stuff, and make sure before we do that we hit the save button so nothing goes wrong. Here we go. I'm gonna select those here and isolate them. Shift F to remove the save frames. And I'm gonna drag everything that I need. So we're gonna start with bathroom set. So merge the file, open. Here we go. So let me take those here. I do not need this, just want those. I'm gonna group them and align them to my shelf. Here we go. Amazing. Now the towels. Here we go. But I do not need this. just want that. Let's see how they look in our interactive. Let's take this down. And let me first add the bitmap. Maybe they are using displacement. So let me relink everything. All right. All right, I think they're good. I just need to exclude everything. So here we go. Exclude. I think they need a little smooth modifier because, yep, way better. So let me add it to all of those, smooth them so they don't look broken. And here we go. Group, close, scale them down, and make sure it's aligned. Here we go. And now to the table, the last set. So bathroom decor. As you can see so far, it's been like an hour and 15 minutes. And you can see that the lighting trick is pretty simple and pretty easy to do. You just need to experiment and see whether this lighting can help in your render. So far, it works in every scene unless it's an exterior. For the exterior, it's going to be a lot different. So in exteriors, you have to focus more on having an HDRI. The Corona sun doesn't need to be, it won't actually be bright and has a light and white color. It should be set to realistic. So this lighting setup doesn't like fit perfectly the exterior renders. It's more for interiors and if you're looking for very bright and clean renders. So let me test everything now to see how everything's looking. So I'm gonna relink everything. And we still have the trees to add and a few things, so let me set them now. So 3 trees, here's the trees, I'm gonna merge them. If you have a slower PC and if you do not have a lot of RAM, you can export the trees as a proxy so you can save up RAM. I usually place trees outside my renders like I do in here, let's say, or in this one right here. I don't know if it shows. Yes. So I can create a very nice background to my scene. So here we go. And also I'm gonna relink all the bitmaps again. And here we go. And now I'm gonna convert everything to Corona since some of the stuff are using V-Ray. Here we go. And finally, there's only this floor to add a material. It's gonna be the same as the roof. And I can officially disable material override. This is why I use it. I can simply change or actually work step by step in order for me to come to the final result. Now we are having an error that a normal map appears to be using an incorrect gamma, and it's pretty easy to use to fix. So Corona converter, and we're gonna go to fix Corona normal gamma value and hit start interactive again. Sometimes they might need to be done manually. If not, you can press this button, but they seem to be gone right now. Let's see. So I have to dismiss, and I'm gonna go here. They seem to be gone. Let's try again. If not, I'm gonna show you how to fix it. Alright, they're fixed. You can see now I have the trees in my background. And here we have everything set. Now I can create a light mix. So I'm gonna go to light mix here and make sure they are set into instance. And in my settings here, I can see what lights I have. So I have the line, which is the indirect. I have Corona Sun, Corona Light 3, I believe is this one here. So let's start interactive again and see what lights do we have in light mix. So Corona Light 3, as I said, it's the light 3 here. Chandelier. Line 6 is the indirect. It's gonna be a lower value. Let's go to 0.6, maybe 0.65. This is the Corona Sun. Now we can increase the intensity of it because it's hidden by the trees. And let me bring it down a little bit so it can goes inside my window. So here we go. Amazing. Let's try and decrease the size. Let's try 12. Now we have the light coming from here. So I think it's going to be 15. 15 seems to be good. Let's try 20. As I said, you have to experiment and find the perfect position for your light. I disabled the sun and the reflection because it looks better. Environment, let's take it up. I always try and go with a higher value for the environment rather than the exposure, because the exposure, if you go like 2, let's say, all the image will be burned, and I do not need that. I need a better lighting without burning the image. So I'm just experimenting some light. So let's bring down this to 0.3 maybe and give it a warmer tint again. Here we go. Here's the chandelier. Let's make it brighter. Alright. Let's see what we have now in a bigger picture. increase the blur a little bit. Everything seems to be great. Everything seems to be clean. I do not see any mistakes so far. Always check everything before hitting for the final render. Now I have something that is bothering me. Maybe this one is too black and we need to fix it. Let's check it up close. So here we go. Let's see what we have here. Let's open it and select this one. You can see we have the bitmap. No need to assign Corona color correction or whatsoever to make it bright. We can try first to go to our override here and hit open. But this is for just the written paragraph. So we need to fix the material. So let's try with the diffuse first. And I think I need to open it once more. Here we go. That's the material for it. Alright. Let's make this brighter. Alright, that's amazing. Here we go. Less black on this one. Alright, I believe now we can send this to the final render. Just need to fix those real quick. So those are going to be brass also. So this is the brass one. Alright, so first one here, go to metal, brass, and this one here, we're gonna see. Okay, so the white one here will also be brass, so drag the brass here and leave this one. I do not need it. Assign it to multi-sub 1, and now it's brass. Make sure that you have in the options here propagate material to instances, so all the instance will take the brass material, so you do not need to set them manually one by one. So here we go. I believe this mirror has to be higher a little bit. Always focus on the details and try to recreate as much realism as you can in your scene. Alright, so far it's looking amazing. Yes. Now let's go to our settings here. And let's try $2,200. Let's see a nice position for our camera. All right. I'm gonna rotate my camera a little bit like here. And as I said before, let's clip this one right here. Alright. And with the focal, we can focus a little bit to this part like this. Here we go. Let's try it. And seems to be good. Now there's also a script that you can use. I'm gonna go to my camera and I'm gonna add camera resolution mode, select active camera. This script allowed me to change the resolution, the aspect ratio of different cameras without having to set every camera manually. So let's try to find a pleasing camera angle. Maybe take this down to 1900. Alright, select camera target, bring it down a little bit, and make sure we have automatic vertical tilt on. You can see in the walls it becomes straighter, the lines becomes straight, so you can have straight walls in your render. Now I can add some lighting to my scene here, and here we go. This can be my first camera. The second camera is going to be the one in the middle. So as I said before, like that. Take the focal back and make sure we do not clip the whole floor, and focus a little bit more like that. This is going to be my second camera, so we can add more exposure to it, so 175, 1.8, and maybe tone down this. So you can experiment different cameras in your scene here. So now we have two cameras set. We have this one here and this one here. I don't know what's that, added by mistake. So those are our two cams. We can also take our cam from here. Here we go. Add a camera resolution mode to active camera, and we can, with the focal focus on our bottles right here, shampoo bottles, or we can focus on those. We can experiment with the camera in order to find very nice angles for us to render. Remember, you have to disable vertical grip in order to take shots from up. We can cut now here, for example, something like that. And just find really cool angles to just render. Alright, now so far everything is done, and we're gonna hit the render button, and after that we're gonna bring those into post-production and start doing some color correction and all of that until our final result. So I ended up with two renders. The one is this one, the first one, and the second one is this one right here. So basically, if I go to my 3D Max and select my cameras, here's the first one and here's the second one. And as I said earlier, using this script right here, when I select my cameras, you can select the aspect ratio of it, and when you lock it, it will be your render resolution. So this one, for example, let's take this one here. It's a 1920 by 1092, and the other one is, let's see, this one is 1920 by 1900. So we're gonna open this in Photoshop. I usually don't go into post-production a lot. I just, especially for interiors, I just fix like the blacks, the whites, the exposure, add a little of vignette, and that's it. That's about it. No crazy things in editing the images. So let me go into Photoshop. Here we go. I'm gonna go to filter, camera low filter, and right here I have my image. I'm just gonna crank the exposure a little bit, the contrast, add a darker shadow, increase the clarity, the dehaze. As you can see, make the blacks more black. You can crank up the white, lower the highlights a little bit. Alright, add some sharpening, nothing crazy. You can also increase the light right here, make it bright. And finally, adding some vignette to our image. You can see here, like the focus goes to the bathtub. Alright, and into the saturation, I'm gonna get rid. You can see that there's a little bit of green in my image. I can desaturate the green to get a whiter look. Here we go. And that's it for the first image. And it also can be applied to my second image. So here we go. I'm gonna drag my second image right here, filter, and we're gonna choose this command right here that will add us the same camera low row filter that we worked on, but give this one a little bit more of white exposure and more vignette. And this one needs to desaturate the green a little more. So here we go. We have now the final images in our tutorial. So please, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, follow me on my social media, Behance, Instagram, to keep up with everything that I do, and let's see you in the next video. Thank you for watching and see you next time.